Hello, everyone. Welcome back to everyone who joined us in our first session, and welcome to anyone joining us for this session first. We are at the Safer Gambling Forum 2024 in partnership with Safer Gambling Week, and we are now very excited to present our case study session, which is about enhancing your safer gambling with AI. And for this, we are working with Mindway AI and Omnigame. So I am delighted to welcome our speakers. But before I do, very quickly, please do keep your questions coming in. To do this, you'll see the instructions on the screen again here. You just need to head over to slido.com or scan the QR code that you see here and enter in the code EGR Safer Gambling Forum. And there you'll be able to send over your questions and vote on any that are already there so that we can make sure that we're getting to the most pressing questions at the end of the session. So without further ado, I'm delighted to hand over to Julie von Berkenau, VP of Legal and Compliance at Omnigame, to introduce our speakers and kick us off on our case study session.
Hi, Katie. Thanks for having us. We're super excited to be here. So just a quick intro of Nini and myself. As you said, Nini is Omnigame's safer gambling specialist, and she has been in the industry for 8 years. And for myself, I'm Omnigame's VP Legal and Compliance, and I've been in the industry for nearly 11 years. And then we have Rasmus. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Rasmus Kjærgaard, and I'm the CEO of Mindway AI. I've been in the industry for around 5 years.
Next slide, please. Great. I'll just briefly also introduce Omnigame. So we are a Danish B2C company. It was founded in 2015. We operate the brand pip.dk. We develop our own games, and we also have our own iGaming platform. Safer gambling has always been at the core of our company, which is also highly reflected in our games portfolio, as it primarily focuses on providing entertainment for recreational players. And as a side note, we were also one of the first operators in Denmark to have enforced a plus 21 age limit.
And I'm to introduce Mindway AI. We are a Danish company as well, 100% focused on player protection solutions and knowledge around that, combining our scientific foundation as a spin-out of Aarhus University based on neuroscience and AI, where we have invented the ability to combine AI and human experts, mainly psychologists with experience from gambling treatment in more efficient, more accurate finding at-risk and problem gamblers. Based on 10 plus years of research in neuroscience, neuroimaging, and problem gambling, Omnigame is one of our customers. We have a lot of other operators we help with this as well.
Mm-hmm. Great. So before we dive into this game scanner tool, I will just briefly touch on what led to the collaboration between our two companies. And just to give you a bit of a backstory, Omnigame currently consists of 60 employees, where 4 of us work in the legal and compliance department. Over the years, with Omnigame's continued growth, it became very apparent that we needed a specifically tailored software to support our safer gambling measures. And as you can imagine, some of the pain points which we experienced would be, for example, lack of detailed information that could help us interact with our customers based on measurable behavioral indicators, as well as a general need to optimize our day-to-day. The tool was a match for us, not only because we became smarter, but we also became better at understanding our customers' behavior, and our interactions, or our customer interactions, became more structured, and in turn created more value for the individual customer. At the time, we were also a smaller company, and Mindway made it very easy for us to get up and running super quickly, and they adapted to our needs as well as the required support in order for us to reach our mutual goal. So without going into more detail, I will now hand over to my colleague Nini, and she will tell you about how she uses the tool.
Yes. So thank you, Julie. I will try to go a bit into understanding the player behavior. So as Julie mentioned, it was a swift implementation, and that meant that I could start using it fairly quickly. So when you start looking into the system and the things that GameScanner catches up on, then it gives you a much clearer understanding of the patterns and the tendencies that players can have. For example, like the different ways that they place their bets when X happens, or place their bets when Y happens, stuff like that. And it also it has given me a much clearer understanding of the tendencies that the different types of gamblers have. Not saying that there's just a general rule that applies to all the gamblers, the different types of gamblers, but there are some tendencies that reoccur. Yeah. With me being able to better understand the patterns, I have also been able to create more specific messages for the players, which offers more understandable information that I get from GameScanner, and on a more personal level, which is very important for me. I value the human touch in our interactions, and the connection that we can get through them. And then it has also made it possible for me to offer the players more suitable suggestions that fit their specific needs based on the pattern that they are showing. And with GameScanner, I have also been able to pick up on potential problematic behavior on earlier stages. And this has also made it possible for me to interact with our customers on a more proactively in a more proactively way, instead of only when a potential problem has already evolved. Yes, going to the next slide. So here you can see it's an example of a player behavior that we have identified in our system. You can see some player profile spider webs, as I call it, that is from GameScanner. In the top right corner, you can see the different risk score levels that are also from GameScanner. And if we start with the red one on the left, you can see that it is actually an example of a player pattern from our own system. And back in July this year, the player was in a very high risk score, as you can see, because of the red color. And when I was flagged about this player, I initiated a message which focused on the different factors that stood out for this player. And as you can see, it was, for example, monetary consumption, loss chasing, and also nightly play. And that is what I focused on in the message. And the message was like it had the intent of helping the player to decrease their pattern. And you can see, if you look at the green one on the right side, that this is the same player's pattern, but it is here in November this year. And you can see that the different factors have actually decreased a lot, and the player is now in the low risk. So I would say that, not to sound too happy about it for myself, but I would say that it had an effect on the player. And also in the period between the dates, I have also been monitoring the player's pattern to keep evaluating if my interaction actually seemed to have had an effect. And I think it had an effect because of the way that we in Omnigame choose to interact with our players, because we seek to have that connection and the human touch in our messages, and to have a conversation with the player instead of just stating cold facts and then move on. So I feel, and the connection between us, I also feel that it's easier to have that with the information that I get from Game Scanner, because it's more understandable and helps me to give the player some more understandable info that they can actually use. So yes, and in regard to the impact on player satisfaction, of course, some people think that it is annoying or an intrusion on their privacy, which of course can be expected. But overall, much of the feedback we receive are actually signs of appreciation. Whenever I've performed our customer interactions and raised some of the flags that was identified by the Game Scanner. As far as improvements in our safer gambling measured, it has also, as mentioned earlier, been easy for me to suggest more suitable tools for the specific player based on their pattern, and not only on a general level, so more specifically tailored for the player. And this has also offered new insights for me to come up with new ideas for other relevant SG tools that we can implement on our brand website, 50K, as you mentioned. And these new tools are also based on the patterns and the tendencies that we have identified for our players via Game Scanner. Yeah, actually, I think that was it. So if you have any questions, yeah.
Hello, sorry, I'm here. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, lots of detail to run through. So we've got a couple of questions here that I'll be delighted to ask you all. So first of all, how do you interact with the customers?
Actually, when I message a customer, it is based on the available information from Game Scanner, and it's usually by email I interact with them, and then I use the info from Game Scanner to. We have also used that to develop our internal customer interaction procedure that contains different levels of interactions, also based on the individual customer's risk score. Yeah, so I hope that was answer to the question.
Yes, of course. And sorry, I've got another one here as well. What is your process if the customer does not respond to your interaction?
I mean, like the different levels of our customer interaction process is it's by the most part based on the risk score from Game Scanner, but every level also takes into consideration whether or not we have messaged them before or if they have responded or not. So of course we have some general guidelines as to what level the message and the info in it should portray, but it is also based on whether or not the pattern has increased after the interaction. So if a customer has not responded to my interaction, but I can see that their pattern is actually decreasing, then I can choose to give them a little more time before I potentially send a new message to them. But on the other hand, if there has been no response and the pattern is increasing or static, then I will usually send a friendly reminder message to the customer.
Okay, fantastic. And then another sort of a question that's coming from our audience, so specifically to a slide a bit further before with the red web example. So with different indicators showing up on the red web example you showed, how do you choose which one or which ones to focus on while contacting the customer?
I mean, I choose them actually like based on which of them are on the highest level. So when you have the factors on the spider web, you also normally have, you couldn't see that in the picture, but you also have a a number between 0 and 100 on those. So if a customer has like a monetary consumption on 95, then it's pretty high, and then I will focus on that. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I wonder if there's anything else that sort of potentially Rasmus or Anthony or Julie, that you could say to sort of the collaboration between Omnigame and Mindway, like how you guys have sort of found each other, what the kind of process has been in kind of working on this collaboration together.
Ladies first, Julie.
Cheeky.
Sorry.
I think the basically what I said before, we had a very clear need, and of course it helps. We're both Danish companies, and it just so happened that that Mindway existed, and it was very easy in that sense to just get a hold of Rasmus and his team, and we again having values that are very much aligned in terms of the human approach and how important it is to take care of these individuals, but while also providing entertainment. It kind of helps that you're already aligned from the get-go, and then with that, the collaboration just kind of super easy.
I'm a little bit humbled when I hear these words, but I will say that we have from day one done our utmost to serve Omnigame in the best way possible. If some of you have followed Mindway AI's growth, I can say that one of the very first operators signing up for our game scanner actually was Omnigame. And when we try to promote ourselves globally and strive for world reign, we sometimes tend to forget the one supporting from day one, who is part of the foundation, the backbone of building such a company. And that was also one of the reasons I found it very, very nice that we could present this together today, also for mutually supporting each other. And actually, when we bumped into each other due to the Danish gambling industry, it was during lockdown. So when we had a meeting, Julie's boss Peter and the CEO and now owner, actually Rasmus, also the same first name as me, came to our office premises here in Aarhus in the mainland in Denmark, and we had, you might remember these meetings where you had to sit in with 2 meters distance between each other, and we had to sanitize our hands before shaking, and even though we agreed, so that was actually a handshake, and it started from there. And I think this collaboration is done in the typical way we prefer it in Denmark, to do it very down to earth, eye to eye, pragmatic, fix things instead of talking about fixing them. I guess that's definitely an equation of success in this collaboration, in my opinion.
Yeah, sounds like a very productive collaboration in arms here. We've got another question in from the audience. So going back into the sort of more technical side of what you were presenting on earlier. The question is looking at, so you said that you perform different types of interactions with customers depending on the risk level, and just if you could sort of elaborate on how that works.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, Game Scanner and their risk levels has also helped me to determine what the best kind of communication and messaging for the players are. And yeah, so I have different levels. Actually, I have 5 different levels. So it's based on if a player, for example, is in the very low or low risk, I can send like it's a more general mail. And when we get up to the medium and over that, the high and very high, then it gets more, not more personal, but more what's it called, like with more info on their pattern. Yeah, so that's how I differentiate between it, if that's. answer to the question.
If I can add also in general terms, so the whole idea is exactly to support the individual operators' way of doing interventions. You have chosen this way, Nini, where you have more generic, less automated, also in earlier stages where we can automate even to an even higher degree in general in the solution, but again in support of the intervention strategy and also related to the jurisdictions where the operator is operating. And normally in the more final stages, we also recommend the in-depth care calls or in-depth personal assessment as well, where we also provide these very specific plots in exactly to support that, because the more close you come also with a computer-based detection system like Game Scanner to the real situation, the easier it is for you to speak into it, which is also from our psychologist experts of confirmation that that's the way you potentially can have a better outcome of such sensitive outreach to the problem gambler.
Fantastic, thank you. And just going more sort of general again, so just a question that sort of we're asking across all of these sessions today is, you know, looking forward into 2025 and sort of beyond, I'm interested to sort of maybe just hear a bit about what you kind of separately on the game and Mindway AI, what kind of priorities look like kind of upcoming, if there's any sort of particular projects that you are kind of working on, anything like that that you can sort of speak to that's kind of sort of what to look out for in future. I don't know who wants to take that. Yeah, whoever would like to kick us off.
I can go. Obviously, now we have spent half a decade almost to develop quite efficient detection solution. We have added real-time monitoring into it, long-term behavioral monitoring into it. We have this in-between model where we look at a daily intensity of the gambling behavior. We have alarms and action lists to help support the intervention. We have support of intervention, and obviously to do more about what we have detected is on our roadmap onwards, adding more functionality in support of Nini and her colleagues in the RG operations. As an AI-based company, obviously also looking into if there's new AI disciplines that meaningfully could be added to that as well, without eroding what the foundation we have created, where we truly believe that AI solutions for these purposes, this very sensitive situation of players at risk and problem gambling, should be human supervised. So obviously we won't change that, but we could see relevance in adding this. Also, we are looking into quite fancy other functionality that might be added as well, in terms of even better results on different ways of intervening towards potentially different groups, because my son, who is 19, will likely have to have the intervention should he have such. I don't know. I do think that he is not getting such, but he should have it on different channels than me, who are mid-age male as well. So these differences are definitely something we look into support of, and then all sorts of other very, very exciting things upcoming.
Also, can I add something?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think Rasmus also mentioned the intensity based score. Yeah, so we're actually gonna upgrade our game scanner system, so we get the intensity score, and that was just like wanted to tell you because I'm really excited about it. So yeah, that's a project that's ongoing right now for us. Yeah.
Fantastic. Anything, any sort of final kind of details that you want to add to sort of close us out here?
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry, I'm looking over at Julie. We're here together.
In the same room. Oh, it's magic. Great. No, I think yeah, no, it was a really lots of detail in there, and yeah, thank you for elaborating for some of the questions that we've had through. But yeah, it was really great to hear kind of about the work that you're sort of doing together with Omnigame and Mindway AI, and yeah, hopefully that's been sort of insightful for those tuning in, and I'm sure if you've got any sort of further questions that you'd want to ask any of our speakers here, please do reach out to us. We'll sort of add kind of contact details into our follow-up emails following this. But thank you all for joining us and for delivering that fantastic presentation.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.